Me, it was always something I always wanted to play both ways. I still love the defensive side of the ball. That was actually the first position I ever played. So it's kind of where I get my background in that. And
Amorion Walker, Michigan corner. Michigan starting corner, Amorion Walker. Welcome in on a Tuesday's Maize and Blue review. Good afternoon, Michigan football. We're ready to go. If Michigan football talk is something that you seek, you have found it. And we are live weekdays at 1 o'clock talking about the latest in Michigan sports, and that has to do this week a lot of things, and we are enjoying the day and trying to stay in the moment, but we are looking forward to this weekend starting on Friday for really a double barrel announcement, and then the spring game, which is going to be taking place on Saturday. We are also looking forward to that, Final Four Saturday as well. So it's going to be a real nice day coming up on Saturday. Weather-wise, well, we'll get into that, and we'll see if it's going to be if it's going to cooperate Mother Nature. What are we talking about today? Well, it's Jadyn Davis week, the outstanding quarterback from Providence Day, highly rated quarterback from Providence Day. He's making his announcement during this show coming up on Friday at 1:30. We'll watch some Jadyn Davis film. Now, you may have watched some film in the past. I haven't. Last night I did for the first time. We'll watch it together. So if you haven't watched any, you'll be right there with me watching it for the first time. As you may have heard, the Michigan hockey team has advanced in the Frozen Four all the way to the Final Four, the Frozen Four. And we'll talk about their interim head coach, Brandon Naurato. But we'll start with the spring game, looking ahead towards Saturday and getting a little fired up. If kickoff was in an hour, we would raise the anticipation level. But, we've got Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to deal with. That's a little bit. I don't know how you are during the season. You go all the way through and you get a little bit of I don't know, you're ready for just the games to be played every day. You watch your Michigan Saturday, you get to a Sunday or Monday, you're ready to go. You're ready to watch another game and see it. So you got to wait, you learn, and you just can't have football games every single day. They just can't play every day. They need at least, even though in the pros sometimes they have shortened weeks and they talk about it a lot, but you need the week to recover, and then there's other things that you can watch. So, but for Michigan, it's a little bit game week. Tuesday, you're just looking forward to Saturday, and there's a lot of smart Michigan fans, and what I've seen from them is that they treat Saturday like a regular season game, in that they get out, like this game is going to be a 3 o'clock start. A lot of folks that will get out at 11 at noon, and they will tailgate for the Michigan spring game like it's a regular game, and then they'll go in, and then they'll on the back end, you get the first half of your tailgate, then there's the game, then there's the second half of the tailgate. We'll do an entire day. I see that. When I saw it last year when I walked to the spring game. I was just like, these are my kind of people. These guys are doing it up right if you're tailgating like that. And that's where we start, is with the spring game. And, there's always a thing like, what are you looking forward to watching? And, the real response is Michigan. You're just looking forward to seeing everybody. You want to see how they all look. You want to see what pops up. You want to see if there's any surprises, who looks good, who's not out there. And, it's especially, it's always nice because it's Michigan football. But then you get these last 2 years, and then you get the anticipation this upcoming year. It's really Michigan's got it going right now. I know Harbaugh a couple of weeks ago, I told you that, he was talking about the buzz with the football program, and that being back. There is a buzz. And if you're a Michigan football fan, you're close to being on top of the world right now. And, come Saturday, but you do it. You say, instead of somebody saying, what are you looking forward to? Just saying everything. I'm looking forward to everything Michigan. Anybody wearing the maize and blue, I'm interested in looking out there and seeing how they do, how they look, who's out there first, how the kickers look, offense, defense, special teams, coaches. I mean, all of it. So, but you do pick up on a player or two. And the nice thing about spring ball is if we talked about, well, who's Michigan's best players? It's pretty easy. You go to the offense, you say, well, J.J. McCarthy. And on defense, you go to Will Johnson, I think, immediately. Although you could go to a bunch of different players on defense. I just use those two guys as an example. But those two guys aren't necessarily the two guys that you're most interested in coming up on Saturday or that have the most hype heading into the spring game. McCarthy might be out there for a series or two when they actually go to some type of scrimmage or some type of game. You maybe a little bit longer, maybe not at all. But so you're not going to see a whole lot of number 9 out there. I'm not anticipating. I don't think you should be either. I mean, that's not the biggest declaration. And Will Johnson, he's recovering from something, getting something cleaned up or whatever else. I don't even think he's going to be out there. Might be on the sideline cheering for his team and everything, but he's not going to be out there at a corner, I don't think. So, so there's other players that you're looking to that will have buzz around them for the spring game, or they might have what you would say hype surrounding them. And I'm going to get it going here on this Tuesday, and that is the Michigan Spring Hype Train. We've got it. It's coming down the tracks, and it'll be in Ann Arbor on Saturday. Who would you say? Now, I've identified one person right out of the gate, and he's the player that is going to be number 1 on my list for the Michigan Spring Hype Train. But if you are out there watching, I would like for you to type in who you think would be a good nomination to be on the Spring Hype Train. Who would you put on the Spring Hype Train as a Michigan fan? And we'll see. We have a few days. We've got Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 3 days, in fact, to add to the Hype Train. And without further ado, let's get to who's number 1 for me on the Michigan Spring Hype Train. Without any further ado, count 22. I was looking for a guess. Darius Clemens was Hype Train's guess. Kenneth says A. Walker. And A. Walker is absolutely the pick for the Michigan Spring Hype Train. Number 1, the sophomore corner, 6'3". Yeah, he played wide receiver. He played a little bit of corner last year. But what you like about Walker, there's a lot of things to like. You like that size at 6'3", 6'2", 6'3" as a corner. That is great size. And when you look back to that Michigan State game where they were throwing jump balls with number 0, what's that guy's name from MSU? Keon Coleman? There are a lot of Michigan fans like, our corners are too small. They're throwing these jump balls. Well, I don't think they're going to be throwing too many jump balls with a Walker over there, as he is every bit as tall as somebody like Coleman, or let's just say another tall wide receiver down at Ohio State, Marvin Harrison Jr. Walker will be able to match up with those guys height-wise. And then the speed, Mike Sanders still said, I don't know, he said he was blazing fast. He didn't even say blazing fast. Like, he put a number towards it. Some like crazy numbers, but, maybe he is a sub 4.4 guy. We'll see. But the 3 cone, if you're into the combine times, his 3 cone that he did and put out a Instagram on it, his time would have been the best in combine history. So he's really good at starting and stopping and changing direction, which is really important as a corner. And you'd be excited anyways about Amorion Walker, but it wasn't just 2 days into spring football and Jim Harbaugh had himself a little news conference. And you expect from Jim Harbaugh, we got a lot of guys, got a lot of competition. And then he, kind of rips through everybody. Yeah, we like Jermon Green, Mike Steener still, of course, Will Johnson, and then you get Jaden McBurrows. You just start going down. He really likes the guys from last year, Miles Pollard, the 2 freshmen that are in for spring, Jair Hill, Cam Calhoun. Those guys, look like, but he didn't do all of that. What he said, Harbaugh, based on 2 practices, he was like, Amorion Walker is our starter. He would consider Amorion Walker the starting quarter 2 days in to spring practice. Harbaugh is the one, actually, who gets credit for the Walker hype train. He's the one ringing the bell. That's Jim Harbaugh as the conductor. He considers Amorion Walker Michigan's starting corner. And it's one of those things that you go in through the year, you say, these are going to be this position battles. And, Walker was going to be in the mix at one of those until Harbaugh just declared, no, he's the starter. So seeing how Walker is going to look out there at corner, does it look like a natural position to him? Do you see all the things that you look for in the starting quarterback? Turning, locating the ball, being able to hold wide receivers up at the line, all the technique things that you know and that you don't know, as a fan, maybe some of you former players, but we watch enough football where you can look over there and you can spotlight a position and say, hey, Walker looks like a pretty good corner. He doesn't look out of place. And then when the ball goes in the air, then you see how he plays it. So he's on the hype train. He's number 1 right now. Account 22 does have Clemens on there. That's a nice candidate for Michigan. I think Riley has put Cole Cabana, who is in for spring, but I am going to put the label on him as questionable right now for the spring game because he's working through something. So I would just say that while Cabana is great for the hype train, knowing that his status is uncertain for Saturday, I think that the hype train is going to have to wait for the Dexter product. Account 22 is not guessing. He wants Clemens with the hype train. And, what about Scott is saying, what about the other number 1? Jadyn McBurrows. Yeah, what about him? What about McBurrows, who we heard a lot of good things heading into spring until Harbaugh was like, it's over. It's going to be Will Johnson, and it's going to be Amorion Walker. Maybe that was some coaching by Harbaugh with a lot of people already, handing, at least heading into spring, putting McBurrows at the head of the depth chart. Maybe that was a little coaching, to a little fire lighting or whatever. I don't know. Coaches do that sort of thing. But, the whole thing, I guess I do have the picture that I can put back up there. Amorion Walker was wearing the number 1, and we know McBurrows does, but in this a news conference from about 2 weeks ago, you've got Walker up at the podium, and he's wearing the Michi shirt, but he's wearing number 4. So I don't know. Before I say there's a fight between the number 1s and, for that starting corner spot, maybe Walker has already relented and has gone to number 4. However, when I looked at the roster, Micah Pollard at linebacker is wearing number 4. Now, maybe he switched his number 2. I guess I didn't go that far down the list to see. But as far as the hype train, I think with the corners, there is some hype there for McBurrow. There's just more hype for Amorion Walker, courtesy of Jim Harbaugh. Is there some hype for J.J. McCarthy and the Heisman Trophy for 2023? Well, let's see. Quarterback from an undefeated team. Those are the first 2 things that you look at when you start talking about the Heisman Trophy. And Michigan, I could see them being an undefeated team. I don't know. It sounds kind of wild to say, but I don't know. It's kind of, I don't want to say routine. That's the situation that they're in right now. I think most of you and I myself expect Michigan to go undefeated next year. What a time to be alive. That we just casually throw that out there. And all the years before you'd say that, you get people rolling their eyes. There's no eye rolling. I think other people, like, if you're not, you're just saying, well, because teams lose. Michigan's in a position. They've put themselves in position with the football program that they have, that the expectation is an undefeated season, and people are good with it. So McCarthy has those two things going for him. So you say, yeah. The couple things that also are in play here, though, is Michigan's style of play. They run the football an awful lot, which can hurt a quarterback's overall numbers, which are a big thing, as you know, when it comes down to the Heisman Trophy. So that could ding McCarthy a little bit, even if Michigan was undefeated. Look at last year. How many people were talking about J.J. McCarthy for the Heisman Trophy? They weren't. They were talking about Blake Corum, which is another issue for J.J. McCarthy. Corum could come out once he got his 5 touchdowns against UConn and had already scored in the previous 2 games and was up there. When you start looking at the stats, it's like, wow, Blake Corum, he should be in the Heisman mix. And he was. And if he didn't get hurt against Illinois, he would have had a pretty good shot at he's certainly getting invited to New York, but, possibly an outside shot, depending on how he did against Illinois and Ohio State, that he could have won it. And then, you got to factor in the other running back who's going to get even more carries this year in the one-arm bandit, and Donovan Edwards. And who knows, those guys could be stealing votes from each other. It's a good problem to have. But when it comes to JJ, yeah, maybe. I would still pick, if I had to pick out of the 3, I'm going to pick Blake Corum. A lot of people, it's just like voting for anything. The president, senator, governor, the incumbent, and for a lot of Michigan fans, the favorite and the Heisman would be the candidate for Michigan last year. It was no doubt Blake Corum. And people were like, oh, man, if it wasn't for that injury. Well, if Corum comes back and he's posting numbers, I think that not only will he be a sentimental favorite, there's nothing wrong with that, but I think that there will be a lot of people that are just familiar with Blake Corum. He's a big name. Blake Corum is one of the stars of college football. In years past, when there wasn't any name, image, and likeness, Blake Corum would be gone, and he would be in the league, and then to be talking about it. But now he's back. It's a great thing for college football, having the name recognition, having one of these stars of college football in 2022, and Blake Corum coming back for another year. It's tremendous for Michigan, obviously, and it's great for college football. Having talked about Corum, Andres reminds me about a video that I watched yesterday of Blake Corum on the bench press. Dude said, no legs, no problem. Yeah, he was on the bench. I don't have the particular numbers. I mean, he was, I don't know if it was the combine weight of 225 or whatever else it is. What I do notice is that everybody was impressed about what he did. And then I'm also impressed with the Michigan weight room, how they have their own signature weights. I mean, it is Michigan, but you not only have the plate, but you have a maize and blue plate, and it says Michigan across it. It's a pretty cool place to work out, and yeah, it's great with the weights. So there you go. Scott says, let's give Amorion Walker uniform 1.5. Yeah, I don't think you can have both of those guys. No, you can't. Not if they're going to play same side of the ball. So they'll have to work that out. Maybe one of them can give the other one some of their NIL money, although McBurrow's had it first. So I don't know how that works. Remember when both AC and Butch Woolfolk finished in the top 10 for the Heisman? They took votes away from each other. Carter finished third. Yes, I actually do remember that. Count 22 says Corum and Edwards will be splitting carries too much for Corum to make a run at a Heisman this year. They were splitting carries last year, so I don't know. And I think about the Penn State game, which actually I have on right here. And it was they were back-to-back runs. Like you'd say, well, who was, the most important in that game, in the Penn State game. Donovan Edwards had 16 carries for 173 yards and a touchdown. And then you had Blake Corum, who had a 61-yard touchdown. He had 28 carries with 166. But if you go and you give you take 4 of those carries and you give them to Edwards, you're talking about 20 carries for Donovan Edwards, and then you're talking about 22 for Blake Corum. Well, you could still get a lot done there. I mean, that's the thing. They were doing a lot of splitting the carries, but you could be right about that. I'm not here. I like, having not so much a disagreement, but an argument about it. So whatever we're talking about. So that's a good point. Right. All of these guys could be stealing each other's thunder or limelight or whatever we were talking about here. Bryant Williams says 225 30 times. Yeah, I think it even said 30. I watched it, but I wasn't like, let's write it down. But now that you say that, Brian, I think you're right about the 30 reps for Blake Corum. So there you go. Michigan Go Blue 1, 2, 3, 4. How confident are you in getting Davis on a scale from 1 to 10? Well, let's get to our next item now that you're asking, Michigan Go Blue. If you want to know what the experts think, with not just Jadyn Davis, but with Blake Frazier, with everyone else, that is who's a Michigan lean, how confident they are, who's really coming, who's really going, all of that. Same thing with basketball, all of it, all day recruiting. You can join the Maize and Blue Review today. You go to michigan.rivals.com. You get a month free. I'm sorry. It's better than that. You buy a month, you get 4 free. 4 months free. Buy 1 month, 4 free. Great deal. Full access today. Promo code UMSpring23. That's UMSpring23. Now, before I get to my Jadyn Davis forecast, which I have had in, I am going to give you the spring game weather forecast. And the spring game is being played at 3:00. It is on the Big Ten Network if you're not going to be down there. And yesterday, the weather forecast called for 48 degrees on Saturday with a 49% chance of rain. Today, the forecast for Saturday is up to 49 degrees, but also up to a 54% chance of rain. My hope for Saturday, I've lived in Michigan long enough that I think that this can happen. 50 degrees, partly sunny, with the rain holding off between 2 and 6. I plan on getting down there around 2:00, walking into the stadium. Probably take me 20 minutes. Who knows who I could stop by. Maybe I get in there at 2:30, maybe a little bit, give or take 10, 15 minutes. Game starts at 3, should be over by 5. Give us that 4-hour window on April the 1st. 50 degrees, partly sunny. I think it can happen. There's your forecast. Now, a forecast when it comes down to recruiting and Jadyn Davis. I've got a 50th forecast for you, and I am picking Michigan for Jadyn Davis on a scale from 1 to 10, with 10 being a sure thing with Davis going to Michigan. I am feeling a 9 right now. I haven't seen anybody else saying, I think Tennessee's in the mix. A late push from Ohio State. I haven't seen any of that. It's Ben Davis for Michigan. Michigan has been their leader. Michigan got the last visit. It just seems like it is close to a sure thing. The reason that I don't put it at a 10 is that, it's recruiting. And there is name, image, and likeness out there. And there are offers that people can make that you can't refuse. So I don't know. If Tennessee, if somebody comes in with I don't even know what it would be. $6 million in cash. They drive up to a 18-year-old. I was just thinking something crazy. $6 million, 3 in cash, 3 in gold bars, and they just sit out in front of Davis's house and say, "Look, we're just going to leave this here. You can have it if you come to our school, and then after that, you can make just as much in our NIL program." This is just from the bottom of our heart for you signing with. I don't know. What are people going to do? Get that stuff out of here. I'm going to Michigan. Also Friday, it's going to be very exciting at 1:30 to see where Jadyn Davis picks and where he's going to go to school, but also the gigantic, much talked about, much anticipated, mother of all mothers, the Michigan NIL monster package is going to be revealed that day. The Michigan Monster. The NIL package, which is going to put Michigan in turn heads in college football. I am not exaggerating. I am not propping this one up. This has been talked about behind the scenes for over a year. There was a lot of red tape, blue tape, going back and all of this. But they have finally dotted the I's, crossed the T's, P's and Q's, ducks in a row. The monster is expected to be revealed on Friday, the same day that Jadyn Davis, coincidence? Maybe not. The same day that Jadyn Davis is set to announce Michigan is going to announce the monster NIL package. 2 gigantic announcements coming your way on Friday, the last day of March. That's why we're sitting around. Yeah, there's the spring game, but then there's the day before the spring game, which is Jadyn Davis Day and the NIL Monster Day. What a day! I can't wait. So, a 9 that I'm on there for. Look, I could just be scrolling through my phone, but a bunch of Michigan fans, they were down. They knew 30 reps. Everybody did. Would have beaten every running back in the combine. Only guys getting over 30 were offensive linemen and defensive linemen. So you're saying Blake Corum is strong. Blake Corum, not last year, the year before, was on Instagram, and I don't think maybe he had a shirt. I don't think he had a shirt on. Or maybe he just had some short shorts. I don't know. I was just saying I think he had some short shorts and no shirt on. And I saw the picture, and I thought, who is that guy trying out, to be the Hulk? It was Blake Corum. And, I had watched him as a freshman. He looked like he had put on 30 pounds of muscle. Half of it in his legs and half of it in his, I would say upper body. I was going to say chest to shoulders. 15 there, 15 there. Boom. Maybe he did. We have had many features on Blake Corum with him being at Michigan and everything. And, now that he's going into a senior season, we've seen it and seen these stories. His work ethic is, I don't know, say unmatched. It's one of these stories you hear about, and we're talking about the 1% of the 1% already. These just supreme athletes that are able to, get scholarships at a place like Michigan. Well, then he seems like he works harder than everyone. Like, what was he doing? Was his dad getting him up? What were they getting up at 4:00 in the morning, and he was driving him to school for a extra workout before school? And then it was kind of the same thing. I have something like, these guys, Michigan, I think it was at Harbaugh that, was basically talking about him working out and said, look, the guy wants to work out from the time he gets up, to the time he's going to bed. They had to work at, I don't know. And Corum seems like he's pretty open for, all the latest training and everything. They back him down in some things, like great work ethic. That was a long way to say that he's got a great work ethic. So things like that does not surprise me. We get some politics. The Florida governor has passed a law where the university can lead on NIL deals now, as if Florida needs help in recruiting. Hey, yeah, well, they're basically doing it anyways, all of the other schools. So, either doing it or, you're not. And most everybody is doing it. Bryant with a prediction of Jenkins being the defensive MVP. I think that is a fine prediction. Everybody that I have talked with that has seen Michigan football spring practice, when they talk about Chris Jenkins, they nod their head and they're like, yeah, they're there. He's the leader. He's awesome. He's had a good off season. Be a nice candidate for the hype train, even though we've already seen him out there. A little bit more on the Sunshine State. Eddie's at a 10. Richard says AJ and I aren't confident in Davis at all. Well, we don't see AJ on here today. Richard, not very confident. Scott is worried about a big upfront bag. An upfront bag is something to be worried about, when it comes to Davis. Another new prediction for Davis. I don't know. Okay. Who are the QBs ranked ahead of Davis? I think Raiola is. I would have to look to see who the other guy is. It might be, I forget. I think Raiola is one of them. Sorry, Scott. You can go to, if you type in a search, Michigan, Rivals Rankings 23, top 250, you can have it like that. I could do it. Mr. Account 22, he's all everywhere. He knows what everybody's saying about everything when it comes to Michigan. And he's saying no shot. Well, he did make their final 5. Scott predicting that Davis is demanding a GOAT session at the Peach Mountain before committing to Michigan. He is welcome. Anybody is welcome to come on down here to Peach Mountain. I'm going to leave off any more politics. Bryant indicating that Davis will come to Michigan, and afterwards many more will commit. I think that's the idea, Brian. I think the floodgates opening up, the Pied Piper and Jadyn Davis. Look, when you're especially a quarterback and a highly rated quarterback, that's why it's important that you get in early. And then you know what you can do then as one of the top guys, he's the top 10 guy nationally. Well, that's when he can get on the phone and be like, let's go. He could be as important as a recruiter as Jim Harbaugh talking about Jadyn Davis. And I think that's going to happen. And Michigan did not have that 5-star last year that was able to be the point man on the class. But the year before it was Will Johnson. And the year before that, it was J.J. McCarthy. And then Friday, with it being Jadyn Davis, I would expect Jadyn Davis to be like, let's go. Let's bring it on. And I would think shortly thereafter that Goodwin from Providence Day would accept the challenge and that he would commit. And I think Frazier after that. And, I do think that there will be Robinson from the state of Ohio. I think there would be a lot that could commit, right, a flurry of activity, as Bryant is indicating. I believe that. I'm with you. Richard says Davis sounds like a problem in the locker room. Yeah, I'm not really sure what kind of problem that you're talking about. I don't know. Now you can go ahead and tell me, Richard, when you say sounds like a problem. Were you listening to an interview? Was this? Do you want to tell us like who was saying that? Count 22 is also looking towards next year. Ringo is going to ask for a 50 and forecast NIL hint. So excited. This should really help in all Michigan sports. That's right. That's right. Uh, Richard revealing what he's talking about being a bad locker room guy, just speaking of his money bag ways. Well, I don't know what if you're just going about what Jadyn Davis has said. Now, look, you can say whatever you want. But if you're going by what he has said that NIL isn't a real factor. And if he's going to Michigan, then getting upfront money isn't what he's saying. To being skeptical about that, I can understand. Thinking about the next, the starting on Wednesday, 24 to 48 hours before, that teams are going to be like, look, let's jack up our signing. The only thing Michigan does not have to offer Davis is the thing that they haven't had to offer all along, and that is upfront money. And those other schools that he is considering have all played. I don't know about Carolina. I don't know what Carolina's stance is on it. But I saw Clemson, Ohio State, and Tennessee over the last 2 years. They have got multiple 5-star recruits, which to me translates, it's not 100% sure, but it means that they're willing to give guys money up front. That's what I think. And so Michigan, they've had to deal with this the entire time. Are they going to have to deal with it more 72, 48, 24 hours before? Okay. But saying that it's, Davis, he's done a very good job at keeping his cards close to the vest, even when talking about name, image, and likeness. Now, that doesn't mean he's not going to field these offers. I don't know what maybe he takes his phone and just turns it off and says, I'm not talking. But, people come at you every single day. Now, I mean, they always have come at you every single day, but now it's even more real. What was it? Let me think of what it was. It was the Elite Eight, and you had Florida Atlantic, and who did they beat? Kansas State. And the Kansas State, was a good game. And the Kansas State coach, after the game, went into the Florida Atlantic locker room and congratulated the kids on getting to the Final Four. And I knew as soon as I saw that there were going to be people that were going to be like, I don't like coaches going into the other room. I knew that they're stealing the spotlight and putting it on I was like, all right. I knew that was going to happen. And then I saw it within 8 hours. I was in there on Twitter, and there was somebody like, I don't like this. And I get why you don't like it. There's something behind that. I look at it like, look, coaches, it's a dream. Getting to the Final Four for the guy from Florida Atlantic, for the guy for Kansas State. I mean, you've made it. It's nothing they could ever take away from you. Congratulations. And I would have taken that the coach was just doing it to really congratulate the guys. But not only were people upset that they were stealing the limelight, they was making it about himself, which again, I knew people were going to do, and they might have a point to it. The other point is that guy just came in there because he's going to be trying to get all those guys in the transfer portal. And now that, look, the guy could have been in the handshake line, like, hey, great job of the Final Four. Come to K-State next year. He could have, as they were walking off, hey, I'm going to pat you on the back. Congratulations. I'll see you. All of those things. He could have said, let's get those DMs out now. Congratulate him on going to the Final Four and tell him we want him next year. I mean, so you just have to deal with those kind of things. So, yeah, people are going to be coming after Davis today, tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday before the announcement. And, once the closer you get to a deadline, the more money that Tennessee is going to be offering. Good on them. The more money Ohio State, can come up with to try to lure him. And they're, everybody, they say everybody's got a price. It'd be very interesting if Davis has no price. He's like going to Michigan, Michigan. This is why it feels like such a coup if Michigan's able to do it. Michigan has offered this guy nothing unless they've changed their ways. Maybe. They've offered him nothing up front. And he's going to commit to Michigan. And then sometime down the line, a year, he can be driving a nice car. What if JJ, these are the things that I don't know. What if JJ McCarthy decides to come back as a senior? That's next year. And that would be Jadyn Davis's freshman year. Are they going to play Jadyn Davis a little bit here and there? They played McCarthy that way. What was that conversation like? I would say maybe they'd play him a little bit. But based on playing a little bit, how much money after freshman year is he really going to be entitled to? If Michigan says that, they're going to reward the players that, accomplish something on the field and stay around, is Jadyn Davis going to have to wait until his, 2 years down the line, 3 years from now, Davis, before he starts cashing in? I'm talking about 7 figures, maybe even 6 figures. Or is he going to be able to get that money, in the next couple months? Because these other schools, all of those other 4 schools that are recruiting Jadyn Davis to try to get them commit, they're going to give, I don't know about Carolina. Tennessee, Clemson, and Ohio State are going to be offering multi-million-dollar upfront signing bonuses to Jadyn Davis. Now, that's what I think. I don't know. I looked at all of the teams that got 5 stars last year, and maybe some of them are just going on, hey, we're Alabama. Maybe at one time we got down and we're out, but we're not doing that anymore. Maybe Georgia said the same, but it wouldn't be a huge surprise to me if all of those schools had some kind of upfront money that they were promising. So that's why this is such a big recruitment, why it is so exciting, when you're out there as a Michigan fan and you think about it. I went through, let's see, I think I have it, actually. I never put it up there for you. But last year, 20 teams landed 5 stars for the 23 class. Bama had 5 of them. Texas had 3. Oklahoma, Georgia. There's Ohio State, Miami, the U, USC. Those are the teams that got multiple 5 stars. But here are the other ones. Tennessee, ding. Ohio State, ding. They're after him. Texas A&M, UCLA, USC, Clemson, ding. They got a 5-star. Colorado, Auburn, Oregon, Florida State, LSU, South Carolina snatched Nichols Harbor, and we know that they gave money to him. He said it. Somebody said it. In Ole Miss. I believe that all of these teams are offering upfront money. Maybe I'm wrong about that. That's a lot of teams. If I had to bet which ones I was sure that were offering upfront money, I would say Texas for sure. I mean, they spent $150,000 on Arch Manning, like just to wine and dine him on a recruiting trip. You telling me they're not, offering millions of dollars? Oklahoma, I'll bet everything that I have that they're giving it up money. Georgia has been doing it, and they just might continue the same scale. They were in first, and how they were doing things behind the scenes, I think they got pretty good deniability. I think Alabama does the same thing. They're in a great spot. They pay guys under the table where nobody knows, and then people aren't even saying anything. They're just in a real nice groove. I think that they still do it. Obviously, Ohio State is still doing it. Obviously, Miami's still doing it. USC is the most obvious because they gave Jordan Addison, before he left Pittsburgh, there was a writer that came out and said, Addison is being offered $2 million, whatever the number was, to go to USC. And then people were like, he's not even in the transfer portal yet. It's like, wait a second. What do you mean he's not even in the transfer portal? Next week, he's in the transfer portal. Then he was out at USC, and then he was complaining that he didn't get his full amount of money up front. So, yeah, USC is offering money. I mean, I could laugh about all of these. Of course Tennessee is. Of course Texas A&M is. So that's what Michigan's dealing with. That's why if they get Jadyn Davis, it is so remarkable. This guy is saying, I am not taking $1 million now. I am going to wait 3 years. I think that's how long he's going to have to wait. Would you wait 3 years? A year? I don't know. Michigan fans are like, yeah, I'd wait. Oh, Michigan, man. Okay. Maybe Michigan has been able to adjust, and that's what we've been waiting for. And that's why this big NIL package that is going to be released on Friday, I think is going to be very important to the future of Michigan football recruiting and to Jadyn Davis. I think these answers are going to be coming around a little bit more. We'll have to see about all that. Richard indicating that Davis is only 6 feet tall. That's true. And let's get to Davis being only 6 feet tall. You know, yesterday somebody had mentioned him being only 6 feet tall, and I was like, yeah, but let's just look back. Let's look back at, and everybody was mentioning Bryce Young, and I mentioned Baker Mayfield. And, you know, Kyler Murray. These guys, Kyler Murray's like 5'9". Baker Mayfield's, I think, 6 feet tall. 5'10" and a half is what the Alabama quarterback, Bryce Young, measured in at. Davis is 6 feet tall. When you watch his film, I'm going to say something and then I'll just put the film on and we'll just talk. Yesterday was the first time that I've watched any film on Jadyn Davis. There were the highlights from his junior season. I just put it in and let it run for 4 minutes. One of the things that you notice is that if I was watching it for the first time, I'd say, how tall is he? You know, he looks like he's about 5'11", 6 feet tall. So, you know, that is something that you deal with. There's been so much success, though, recently with high-end quarterbacks in college that, you know, how much you're going to worry about that. I mean, you see it, and you do think about that a little bit. Now, the thing I came away with in watching it is that Jadyn Davis is a good passer. It's his arm. It's his he is a high-level passer. When they say he can make all the throws, you see that in this junior highlight tape that I will play. And you just you can see the arm talent. He's got an arm on him, and he knows how to use it. Now, if we say that, let's put this film up, and let's watch a little Jadyn Davis. He wears the number 1 for Providence Day, and we'll watch about 4 minutes of this, but I'll talk about some of the different throws and such that I see him making. Oh, no, wait a second. Give me 1 second. There, I said 1 second. It was actually like 10. But let's go back. Let's start it at the beginning. Some of these throws, I like to see them all. All right, so here we are. There's Jadyn Davis. This is his junior season. He's in the pocket. He lets one rip down the sideline. Guy's wide open. He hits him in stride. Touchdown. That's a nice throw. It's a nice throw. I like as I watch this more, here he is back to pass looking into the end zone right under the goalpost and kind of fires one in there in traffic. It was a laser, but it was very good placement as I look at him. Here he is rolling out to the right while he's being tackled and has been able to throw it. He's got enough arm strength to be able to get it 20 yards down the field to make the connection. Here's another rollout, this time to the left. And, you watch him roll out to the left a lot as a right-handed quarterback, and he's really able to make an accurate throw. And what you see is a real nice touch when he rolls left. Here he is again, rolling left. And he's got nice accuracy, nice touch. And when you're looking at, how much loft that he puts on the ball, and when he rolls left, he really throws a nice pass. This one's a rocket into the right corner of the end zone. He's wearing white here. This one shows some nice touch as he just pumps one. Sometimes quarterbacks, they throw what, you say is a very catchable pass. What I'm seeing here, and there's one into the quarter of the end zone, perfectly placed. You don't have to be a quarterback guru or somebody. I watch a lot of guys in the NFL and college, not so much in high school, but at any level, anybody's going to watch these last couple throws and say, those are perfect. Those are perfect passes. He's one ripping over the middle. Now, he kind of shoots it out there sidearm on that one, which is something, I don't know. He's got different arm levels. This is a picture perfect pass down the seam, touchdown. And you can't go over there and place it any more perfect. I wanted to just watch it before I started coming up with any names as comparisons, but I did come up with a few as I've been watching it. When I watched Tua Tagovailoa when he was at Alabama, as far as a passer, Tua threw the most catchable pass, just a beautiful, like when you think about the trajectory, the loft, the touch, the ball placement, man, throwing guys open. I'd really never seen anybody, the Tua, and it ended up being where, he can't really push it down the field as much as you would like in the pros. But when I watch Davis, he's got a little bit of that, the beauty part of it, where there's a real smoothness to his throws, a fluidity. And he's back here. He doesn't have a lot of pressure on him in some of these, but you just see he can let it fly, but you also see the touch and the very capable pass. Now, he just did something there. That's an Aaron Rodgers throw where you go back and you just you're just it's just totally using your arm talent. You just roll to the right and you just whip it. Here it is. Look at this. That's like Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers likes that one. So he got a little Aaron Rodgers in him, and a little Tua Tagovailoa, but as a right-handed thrower. And if you're looking, well, can he stand in the pocket and throw it downfield? There's one. Boom. Exactly where you would want the pass to be thrown. If you're a coach or a fan, you'd say, hey, put it right there where only he can get it going up. Boom, he did it. And he let that one fly about 40 yards in the air. Here's a triple team. I'm going to have to go back and look at that one a little bit more. You watch the guys in the pros throw this one, and they make it look easy. And I got to say that Davis, now this is just a high school pass, but he makes this, it's this next one. He just throws this into triple coverage, and look at how easy he makes this look. Yeah, he pumps that one right in there. That's an amazing throw right there. Like you think, wow, he's going to throw it right into triple coverage. Certainly double coverage. The guys had him bracketed. He had another guy that was over there. You see some of these guys, you say, hey, these wideouts are pretty good. Yeah, they're both, I think they might both come to Michigan. Goodwin is, for sure. There's a little improv touchdown for Davis. I didn't watch this far into it, so I was going to save a little. Oh, here's another long bomb. Well, maybe you could say he could have thrown that one another yard or two, but nobody was close to him, and it ends up being a pretty good loft, and he zips it right in there. Let me see another one or two. Easy touchdown. I could have thrown that one though. Another one. Here he is rolling left. I told you he likes throwing left. He's got nice accuracy throwing to the left. A pretty good build on him for only being a junior in high school. Here's one over the middle. And it looked like J.J. McCarthy on that one in the Orange Bowl. Just throw into a spot. Yeah, he can hit these guys on a line in the middle. And then you see the passing part, the short ones when he's throwing these darts, but it's when he starts putting it down the field with more than 20 yards. You see the loft, and you see here's one here. And then remember that was more of an intermediate throw. I'm looking for another one downfield. There we go. He's got it. That's why they call him a 5-star. Now, this is his tape of his highlights, so you expect, but you get to see just how he looks throwing the ball. And it's interesting. You watch a lot of quarterbacks wherever you go. If you attend a lot of games, watch them throw a lot. And, I know being at the Lion games for 10 years, being up in the press box, you watch a lot of you watch the best down there in the NFL. And the big, a lot of Matt Stafford, when he was there, I was there for almost his whole career watching him. And not many guys that have a better arm than him. It's these guys that sit back in the pocket and have the arm talent, but it's a smoothness, it's a fluidity, and there's not a lot in there. And they say, the ball kind of explodes out of their hands and ends up getting there. And then are you throwing a very catchable pass? From what I see, this is 4 minutes of watching just a highlight tape of Jadyn Davis, high-level passer. And one who certainly has all the moves and the technique and the form, but the part that I like about that is there's not a lot. There's a real smoothness to it, and then the ball is zipping there, and it looks very catchable. A lot of guys can throw it, and then you're like, ooh, that one, the guy had to adjust the loft, the arc, and the catchability, of a passer. He's got a little something, going there. Can't wait to see a little bit more. I'll be interested in watching some full game tape, of Jadyn Davis, if everything goes well for Michigan on Friday. That'll be pretty exciting on how that goes. Now, Richard's got me a little nervous, talking about people swooping in with the Brinks trucks, coming in. You know what I'm talking about? Shooting bags of cash Jadyn Davis's way over the next 72 hours or so. So let's go. Can Davis run? He looks like he's pretty athletic, but he's a pocket passer that can move around. He ran once. A little bit like Bryce Young. Bryce Young didn't want to run. He wanted to stay in the pocket, but what you see is he can move around in the pocket. He's got the athleticism to do that. I don't know how much he wanted to run in high school. I think he wanted to buy time and throw the ball, but he looks like he's got some athleticism to him. But maybe he can do a little bit more of that when needed. Richard pointing out that Brian Greasy was only 6 feet tall, and his name was on the trophy. Oh, that's right. The punters, the spring game draft is concluded. Anybody know if they have or will post the rosters? That is an excellent question. I think on Friday, I would be looking for something on MGO Blue that you could have to print out if you were going down to the game or if you were watching it at home. They would be smart in doing that. But, I don't know. I think that they'll have at least there's rosters out there right now, but as far as the teams go, I don't know if they will do that, punters. I'm not 100% sure. Seems like our offense would have to change with Davis at the helm. I don't see why you would say that. I mean, Michigan wants to run the ball, and when needed, they want to throw it. That's what they're doing right now. I mean, I don't think that you have to change anything with Davis. I see no need for a change with the offense. All right, finally, I wanted to get to Michigan hockey and their head coach, their interim head coach, Brandon Naurato, who makes it to the Frozen Four. He comes in, the whole thing with Mel Pearson has to come on in, and he's going to be the interim head coach this year. Successful season. Michigan goes on in the postseason, and they win the Big Ten tournament. Once they did that, even throughout the year, people are like, recruiting's going well. The team looks like, it could have been Berenson, Pearson, or Naurato back there. It didn't look any different. They go on and then win the Big Ten tournament. If that wasn't enough, you thought, okay, that should be enough for Naurato. But then they go on and, they mow through Colgate, they beat Penn State, and now they're back into the Frozen Four. You would say, this has got to be 100% sure thing, with Naurato. And I think that it's going to be. They said that they were going to wait till after the season. Do I think Ward may have already called him up and said, hey, you're going to be good. We'll just announce something after the season. Don't worry about it. I don't know if he would do that. I would. I don't even know if but I think it's obvious. So I think he would do that. He should do that, but I don't know if he's actually done that. But, I try not to be biased because I went to high school in Livonia, and here's Naurato grew up in Livonia. So, he's from my neck of the woods. But not only that, he went to CC, and then he's right from this neck of the woods. CC, Livonia, played 4 years at Michigan, and then ended up after, toiling and for, I don't know, it was about 4 years in different juniors or the minors or whatever else. He ended up working for the Red Wings, analytics, film work, his forte. He's brought that to Michigan. They've got a good recruiting class already for next year. So what are you going to do? Here's the box. Check. Frozen Four. Check. The only thing that you did not know about Naurato is he had no experience as a head coach, and he had no experience of being behind the bench for a game. So you didn't know how he would handle those things. Check. He's been able to do all that. So he's got check marks everywhere you would want now. So he's going to be the head coach. He should be the head coach, and he will be the head coach. And, Michigan's got 2 games to see if they can do something that, they haven't done since when? 1998? Wait, they did it in 96. Yeah, 98. So there you go. Naurato trying to do something that Michigan hasn't done in the 21st century. Good luck with that. Gary, I'm going to grab some questions here from the folks. Let's see. Gary talking about a pep rally. I think that's either on Friday or Saturday. It's definitely, that's where they're going to have a number of people out there. I think even, is Harbaugh going to stop by? I know they're going to have a little chat, little chalk talk with Jansen and Butt running things out there. Yeah, I think it's either Friday or Saturday. I'm not 100% sure, but that's going to be pretty easy for you to find. Gary, Account 22 is saying, bummer, they got to wait so long. April the 6th, too much focus on basketball. Hockey is underrated, an undercovered sport. Yeah, well, it's going on at the same time as basketball, and that ends up being, there's a little bit of a bummer to that. There's not many people, usually when you talk to someone, they are either full-on basketball fans or full-on hockey fans. And so that it doesn't really matter when they're being played. But there are some people, I don't know about a lot of people, but there are some people that enjoy both. I am one of those. And I would have liked it this weekend if they would have found different times to be playing the basketball Elite Eight and the same thing with the hockey. Could they sort it out? But, they don't do that. They can't do that. It reminds me of being back in the day, and this was a good problem to have. The Pistons were still good, and the Red Wings were good. The Red Wings were so good, the one year they went and they were a series ahead. So it was the Red Wings taking on the Penguins in the Stanley Cup Finals. And I would have to work before the game, but I had great media seats in here watching the Wings. But in between periods, the Pistons were at the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. And you couldn't find a TV. All these hockey people, like I said before, you think Stanley Cup Finals, you're going down. They don't want to, be flipping it over to watch any basketball. And, I tried to do a little of that, but I found a way to get into a suite. And this ended up working well for a couple games. Yeah, you watch the Stanley Cup Finals, you walk up a flight of stairs, and you might go into the Miller Lite suite and watch the Pistons play the Celtics in between periods. That's just a little bit before. Now I think you could probably just get it on your phone if you're able to get reception in a building. Those things have come a long way, so maybe you'd be all set. But back in the day, it did remind me. You had both of them going. I was wishing that the Pistons were taking. I would have wished that the Pistons and Celtics would have been one night, and the Red Wings and Penguins could have been another night. But they didn't do it that way. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You talk about college hockey being underrated. Sure, it is underrated. It's great. I mean, like, people that like Michigan hockey talk about Michigan hockey is great. It is great. It's a great building. It's a great program. The level of play is, out of sight when you watch it. You go and, like I said, the atmosphere is great. And then you get to the Frozen Four, all of the games. I mean, they're all game sevens. It's incredible. It really is. But when you try to sell other people, like, hey, it's great. Like, not for me. It's like, okay, if it's not for you, when you try to sell it to other people, I don't know what you can do to do that. It can be tough in Southeast Michigan, and it can be tough when you have a pro sports. And Detroit, I think, luckily has all four. And so there's going to be a lot of people that are just pro fans, and are not going to be you split it up with basketball and hockey. Look, I think college baseball is pretty good. I never thought that until there was a strike, and then I started going to like Big Ten baseball. And now I don't like the aluminum bats myself. Like, that's about the one thing that I would, if they could, fix up, in college baseball. But other than that, it's pretty good. So that's about it. I really don't understand how that there's some Buckeyes in the house. And is anybody declaring something about OSU? I didn't see anything like that. All right. That is going to do it for the show. Back tomorrow, we'll have Jim Scarcelli. See what Scar has to say about this upcoming Saturday. We'll get Scar's pick on somebody to put on the hype train. Might take account 22's hype train individual, have him for Thursday. All ahead on Jadyn Davis Week. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the Maize and Blue Review. We appreciate any reviews. We also, I'll double down, appreciate anybody out there, a Michigan fan, tell them about this podcast. Tell them to subscribe to this YouTube channel. All those things help us out a lot. And thanks for doing it. We'll talk with you tomorrow. Till then, have a great